2 days before her death, Diana made one last desperate call to her sister. Lady Sarah McCorquodale has never forgotten those words. "They're watching me." But what happened next is even more shocking. Missing letters, secret tapes, and a mysterious wooden box emptied after Diana's death. Sarah has finally broken her silence to explain why she destroyed some of Diana's most private papers. Was she protecting the family or burying the truth? This is the story you never heard before. At just 22 years old, Lady Sarah Spencer began a romance with Prince Charles in the summer of 1977. It started at the Royal Ascot House party in Windsor, when Charles, 28 at the time, was drawn to Sarah's lively wit and sharp sense of humor. Their relationship blossomed quickly. Sarah was frequently invited to royal gatherings at Windsor and Balmoral, joining Charles for social events, shooting parties, and private dinners. For a while, it seemed serious enough for the press to speculate about a royal wedding. Sarah even kept a scrapbook of their time together, imagining a future where she could share their story with her grandchildren. In February 1978, everything changed. Sarah joined Charles on a ski trip to Klosters, Switzerland, which attracted plenty of media attention. Back in London, she gave an interview to journalists over lunch, casually revealing personal details about her life. She claimed she wouldn't marry Charles if he were the dustman or the King of England, and talked about her past struggles with anorexia, numerous boyfriends, and underage drinking. These remarks caused a scandal when published in Woman's Own magazine. When Charles heard about it, he simply told Sarah, "You've just done something extremely stupid." That single comment marked the end of their relationship. However, Sarah's role in royal history didn't end there. In November 1977, while she was still dating Charles, she invited him to a shooting party at Althorpe, the Spencer family estate. It was there, in the middle of a plowed field, that Charles first met her younger sister, Diana, who was just 16. To Charles, Diana seemed cheerful and youthful, but Diana had what she later described as a woomph moment. She was instantly captivated by the sight of the prince walking across the field with his Labrador. It was a brief encounter, but it planted the seeds for a love story that ended into marriage. Lady Sarah McCorquodale was more than just a sister to Princess Diana. She was her rock. Whenever Diana felt alone or overwhelmed, Sarah was there, offering comfort and support. Their bond was built on trust, something Diana desperately needed in a world where she often felt watched, judged, and isolated. Diana looked up to Sarah, not just as an older sister, but as someone she admired deeply. With Sarah, she could let down her guard and share her innermost thoughts without fear of being judged or betrayed. This trust was a lifeline for Diana, especially during the turbulent years of her royal life. Sarah didn't just support Diana behind the scenes. She was right there with her during many public appearances, acting as one of her ladies-in-waiting. Her presence gave Diana a sense of security. In a crowd full of strangers and flashing cameras, Sarah's familiar face was a constant reminder that she wasn't completely alone. It was this quiet support that helped Diana get through the exhausting demands of royal duties. When Diana's marriage to Prince Charles started to crumble, Sarah stood firmly by her side. Through the separation in 1992 and the divorce in 1996, Sarah was her shoulder to cry on. She listened to Diana's pain, comforted her, and helped her face the heartbreak and media frenzy that came with it. Sarah's help didn't stop there. She worked tirelessly to protect Diana from the relentless press, shielding her whenever possible from the photographers and tabloids that seemed to follow her every move. This gave Diana some breathing room to focus on herself and her future. On August 29, 1997, just 2 days before her tragic accident, Diana, Princess of Wales, made a phone call to her sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale. This would be their last conversation, and it revealed Diana's troubled state of mind. She was on Mohammed Al Fayed's luxury yacht. Later, this call became an important piece of evidence during the investigation into Diana's death, shedding light on the tensions and fears she faced in her final days. On August 31, 1997, Lady Sarah McCorquodale faced a heartbreaking journey to Paris. Alongside Prince Charles and their sister, Lady Jane Fellows, Sarah boarded a royal aircraft, defying tradition to retrieve Diana's body. Queen Elizabeth had initially hesitated to allow the use of a royal plane since Diana was no longer officially part of the royal family after her divorce. However, Prince Charles insisted on honoring Diana with this gesture. The flight to Paris was silent and heavy with grief. Sarah reportedly clutched a photograph of Diana throughout the journey, a small comfort in an unimaginable moment. When they arrived at Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital, Sarah, Charles, and Jane had to face the unbearable task of identifying Diana's body. Walking through the hospital's corridors, where French President Jacques Chirac and Prime Minister Lionel Jospin had earlier paid their respects, added to the weight of the moment. Witnesses later described how devastated Charles looked, as if he'd been hit in the face. For Sarah, this moment was deeply personal. As Diana's sister and lifelong confidant, she was there not only to grieve, but to represent their family in this heartbreaking moment. The journey back to Britain was solemn and filled with historical significance. Diana's coffin, draped in the royal standard at Charles's insistence, was flown from Vélizy, Villers-Coublay Air Base. Sarah accompanied the coffin, staying close to her sister even in death. During the flight, she was seen gently resting her hand on the coffin, a simple but powerful act of sisterly love. When they arrived at RAF Northolt, a military honor guard transferred the coffin with precision and respect. The scene was somber, and the silence around it spoke volumes about the magnitude of the loss. Lady Sarah worked hard to keep Diana's memory alive after her tragic death in 1997. Just days after the accident, Sarah became the president of the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund. People around the world poured in support, donating £34 million. Elton John's song Candle in the Wind, 1997, raised another £38 million, and partnerships and exhibitions added £66 million more. Under Sarah's leadership, the fund used this money to help thousands of people. It supported important causes like caring for terminally ill patients in Africa, helping refugees, improving prisons, and protecting communities from dangerous weapons. By the time the fund closed in 2012, it had spent over £112 million helping those in need. In its final years, Sarah made sure the remaining money was spent wisely, focusing on these key causes to leave a lasting impact. Over the years, Sarah has worked tirelessly to keep Diana's memory alive, especially for William and Harry. She's been there for major moments in their lives, like their weddings and baby Archie's christening. She's also attended charity events with Prince William and helped ensure Diana's belongings were fairly divided between her sons. Through her efforts with the Memorial Fund and her presence at family events, Sarah has made sure Diana's legacy continues. One of the most puzzling parts of Princess Diana's story is the missing letters she exchanged with Prince Philip. These letters reportedly contained sharp words, with Philip allegedly calling Diana a harlot and a trollop. Diana's close friend, Simone Simmons, claimed she saw these letters herself and they painted a picture of the strained relationship between Diana and the royal family as her marriage to Charles fell apart. A detective investigating Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell, later said Diana's sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, admitted the letters existed and were stored in a special wooden box in Diana's study. What makes this even more interesting is that not all of Philip's letters were harsh. In some, he supported Diana and criticized Charles for his behavior. In one letter, Philip wrote, "I cannot imagine anyone in their right mind leaving you for Camilla." In another, he said, "Charles was silly to risk everything with Camilla." These words showed Philip's surprise and disapproval of Charles's choices, revealing a more understanding side of him during Diana's difficult times. The mahogany box that supposedly held these letters became the center of a major mystery. After Diana's death, the box was found empty, sparking questions about what happened to its contents. Lady Sarah admitted she and her mother, Frances Shand Kidd, destroyed some of Diana's papers. They said they did this to protect William and Harry from seeing anything that might upset them. According to Lady Sarah, they only got rid of thank you notes and other small items, not anything historical or important. She insisted that none of Philip's letters were destroyed and firmly stated, "My conscience is clear." Paul Burrell, who worked closely with Diana, had his own story about the missing letters. Over his years as Diana's butler, he became one of the people she trusted the most. He didn't just serve her meals, he helped her with personal tasks, sometimes even smuggling her lover, James Hewitt, into Kensington Palace. After Diana's death, Burrell claimed that one of her recordings, a tape where she spoke openly about private matters, was kept in the same wooden box. He said this tape also disappeared when the box was emptied. Lady Sarah and her mother believed they were protecting Diana's family by handling her papers so carefully. After all, Diana's sons, William and Harry, were still very young when she died. Lady Sarah said her goal was to shield them from anything that might hurt them. Even during the inquest into Diana's death, she stayed calm and avoided sharing too much about personal family moments. She wanted to balance public curiosity with the need to keep certain things private. The way Diana's personal belongings were handled after her death caused a lot of debate. Some people felt important documents, including Philip's letters, might have been destroyed. Others questioned whether Lady Sarah and her mother had the right to make these decisions. Lady Sarah defended herself, saying her relationship with Diana was fine, even if some people claimed they weren't very close. To this day, no one knows what really happened to those letters, but they remain one of the many mysteries surrounding Diana's life. Lady Sarah has always been a strong and reliable presence in Prince William and Prince Harry's lives. After their mother, Princess Diana, died in 1997, Lady Sarah became a link to Diana's memory. At their weddings, she paid a quiet tribute to Diana by wearing the same diamond earrings Diana had worn at her own wedding, flown in specially from a museum in Kansas City. Over the years, Lady Sarah has shown constant support for William. In September 2024, she traveled from her home in Lincolnshire just to attend a military parade at RAF Cranwell, where William was representing King Charles. This moment was extra meaningful because Sarah had also attended William's RAF graduation back in 2008. It showed how much she cares about being there for him, no matter the occasion. But her support goes beyond showing up at events. She has helped William navigate royal life, using her own experience and her deep understanding of Diana's values to guide him. At the same time, Sarah has been a steady figure for Harry, even as his relationship with the royal family has grown strained. In May 2024, she attended the 10th anniversary service of the Invictus Games at St. Paul's Cathedral, standing by Harry when other senior royals didn't attend. Later that year, when Harry made a surprise visit to the UK for a memorial service, Sarah tried to bring the brothers together. She has always worked to keep family connections alive. In 2023, she even traveled to the US to attend Princess Lilibet's christening, showing that she cares deeply about Harry and his family, no matter the distance. Sarah's role as a peacemaker has become more important as William and Harry's rift continues. At a memorial service in 2024, she arranged a private meeting between the two brothers, showing her quiet ability to bring them together. Unlike others close to the family, Sarah avoids taking sides and remains trusted by both William and Harry. Many believe she could be key to mending their relationship in the future. Through it all, Lady Sarah has carried on Diana's legacy with care. She worked as co-executor of Diana's will and has kept her sister's values alive through charity work, especially in Lincolnshire. Whether it's a royal wedding, a christening, or a quiet family gathering, Sarah has always been there for William and Harry. Her presence reminds them of their mother's love and helps them move forward while staying connected to Diana's memory. After Princess Diana's tragic death in 1997, Lady Sarah made it her mission to keep her sister's memory alive. She and their other sister, Jane, went with Prince Charles to Paris to bring Diana's body home. It was a heartbreaking task, but it showed how deeply Sarah cared for her sister. She later became the president of the Diana Memorial Fund, which raised over £112 million for charities before closing in 2012. In 2003, Sarah spoke publicly for the first time in years by helping create a book about Diana's charity work. The book, supported by the fund, included rare photos and made sure Diana's humanitarian legacy was remembered. Sarah also defended Diana's memory during the 2007 investigation into her death, sharing important details about Diana's final days and relationships. Sarah didn't just stop at honoring Diana's memory, she also carried on her work. She helped the Memorial Fund support causes that Diana cared about, like helping people with AIDS, fighting leprosy, and supporting homeless youth. She also continued Diana's fight against landmines, something the princess was passionate about. Like Diana, Sarah stays personally involved in these causes. Living in Lincolnshire, she focuses on helping local groups and major organizations like Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital and the English National Ballet. Thanks to Sarah, Diana's work hasn't been forgotten and still helps people today. Family is very important to Sarah, and she works hard to keep traditions alive. In 2018, her daughter Celia wore the famous Spencer tiara at her wedding. Diana, Sarah, and their sister Jane had all worn the same tiara on their wedding days, making it a special family heirloom. Sarah's 3 children, Emily, George, and Celia, are now married with families of their own, continuing the Spencer legacy. Sarah also plays a unique role in the royal family. Some believe she could help bring Prince William and Prince Harry closer together during their ongoing disagreements. As both a Spencer and a trusted figure, she might be the perfect person to help heal their bond. Sarah's presence at royal events shows her family's continued connection to the royals, while the McCorquodales stay rooted in their Lincolnshire community. Through all of this, Sarah has kept both her family's traditions and Diana's legacy alive for future generations.